I can walk into a room and people will look for the white person. There was a situation where I had to leave the training and go up to the vice president and say I was disrespected so bad. I don't think that people think I'm hot stuff, no matter what I do. I have a master's degree in HR management. I was told not to name my blog, which then became my entire company, my entire brand, Trap Recruiter. When I first started being on my own, I had an identity crisis. I was like, I don't know when I stopped being Keirsten and when I started being Trap Recruiter. When people are like, why won't you go on TikTok? It doesn't feel organic for me. It doesn't feel authentic to me.
I'm not a fan of looking at the metrics, but LinkedIn keeps notifying you. Yesterday, it's like, your post has 77,000 impressions. And today it's like, it has 118.
I stopped editing myself. I stopped trying to be for everybody. As I started to become more popular and I started to use my own voice, I found that
everyone wants to talk about recruiting trends. Keirsten Greggs talks about who those trends actually impact. She's the founder of Trap Recruiter, host of Trap Chat, and the person translating jobs reports and DEI rollbacks into what they actually mean for people like us. But today, we're not talking trends. We're talking about what it really means to build a platform as a Black woman in this space and the stories that don't make it into the LinkedIn post. Keirsten, welcome to Workfluencer.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this conversation.
So for those who haven't met you yet, what's the Keirsten Greggs story in 30 seconds?
Target for middle management hostility. I am from New Jersey. I love graphic tees. I'm wearing one today. And that's about it. And snacks. I like snacks too.
So tell us about your brand, Trap Recruiter. How did you come up with the name and what does it represent?
I would like to take credit for coming up with such a phenomenal name. I love acronyms. And initially, I know we're going to get into this a little bit more, but I was going to call my blog Confessions of a Black Recruiter. But the more I started to think about how I was going to frame the blog posts I was going to do, and the more I was listening to other people's stories, I realized that my story or my challenges, my successes, my things along my journey that weren't so favorable were not exclusive to being a recruiter. They had more to do with me being a Black woman or a Black person in corporate America. So the name came out of a conversation doing one of those Facebook quizzes. And it said, if you were famous, what would you be known for? And my friend said trap recruiting because I love trap music. Okay. So it turned into, while that was like the baseline, I said, you know what? I like that, trap recruiting. And then I turned it into an acronym. So it's trust, relationship building, accountability, and a proactive approach, and how I bridge the gap between job seekers and employers.
Amazing. Take us back to those early days. You mentioned the blog. How did you you have the name and everything. How did you get started?
So it started way before that. I was, what do we call it? Like when we call it praying through it or typing through it, working through it. I was just going through it in my corporate job. And I started doing these memes, and I would just put hashtag recruiter problems. And that became an entire thing. And then, like I said, blogging became more popular. So I think it was 2012. I really don't remember, but, I was blogging more regularly. I became part of a multi-contributor blog called Performance I Create, where I met some of my very best HR friends / not even HR in front of it anymore, just my friends and that are now my family. And that's how it really started. And at first it was very difficult because being a part of someone else's brand, you really do have to tailor and you really do have to watch what you say. And even as I started to become more popular and I started to use my own voice, I found that when I was writing for other people's blogs or when I was showing up in certain spaces, especially if there was an editor, they were going to change the things that I said. They were going to take the sting or the bluntness, the things that are my voice, they were taking those things out of it. And around 2020, 2021 is when I really just had enough. and I stopped editing myself. I stopped trying to be for everybody, if that makes sense. I stopped trying to please people, and I just accepted that the people that want to listen to me, the people that take me seriously, the people that won't ask me to edit myself. And let's be clear, I was a debutante, so I know how to present. I know how to code switch very well. But those people, they're going to show up for me. They're going to be there anyway. And don't worry about the other people. I'm not for them. What's the phrase? I'm not for everybody.
I love that. And yeah, I think it was around 2020, 2021 when I first connected with you back in the Twitter days and we started interacting.
I think myself, Adam Karpiak, an Eastside recruiter might be the only ones left on Twitter. I think everybody else is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I was like, there was just one day where I was like, I'm done. And I just deleted my account and haven't looked back. And you know what? I welcome having less social media presence.
No, I understand.
So was that really around the time that you realized okay, my specific voice as a Black woman is needed in TA content?
Yes. Well, no. I won't say it was needed in TA content because that was something I always did. I don't want this to come across as sounding the wrong way, but I never thought about the fact that I was amplifying my Blackness. I never thought about the fact that I was going to do and be everything and not worry about it. But when people started to give me credit for something that, again, that kind of stuff didn't make sense to me. I've never not been that person. And the more I saw, I saw your post today. I didn't get a chance to interact with it yet because I was trying to get ready for this, but you posted something about your interactions or your impressions going from 77,000 one day to, a couple hundred or a couple thousand the next day. And I experienced that too, because, working in corporate America, I was working for an enterprise defense contractor. And back then, they would select the recruiter seats. So I was in operations and two of us had every job was posted from our accounts. So I showed up more than anybody else. I would be the number one or number two viewed profile in the entire company every week. And I went from that, and then I would have some viral posts here and there, especially when I said something completely silly that I didn't spend a lot of time on. But for whatever reason, people gravitate more towards that than the things I really sit down, take my time, I spell out, and I'm like, this is going to be so dope. It's going to hit. I'm going to do everything. No, that doesn't work. And then I'll see my impressions and how do I have over 15,000 followers and no one sees my content? But I know they see it. I know they do because I just posted about that, being impersonated, people making entire LinkedIn accounts that are in mine, that are in their name, but it's my information, or they're creating email addresses in my name and contacting job seekers. So I'm like, how am I both hidden, shadow banned, unknown, and the person people want to imitate? It gets to be wild. It gets to be crazy. So to keep my sanity, I try and stay away from worrying about how I'm showing up online, and I just continue to be myself.
Yeah, everyone who's listened to the show knows I'm not a fan of looking at the metrics. Obviously, I look at them, but not on a daily basis. But LinkedIn keeps notifying you as if it were this great thing. Because yesterday it's your post has 77,000 impressions, and today it's it has 118. I'm like, yeah, no. Why are you doing this to me type of thing? But yeah, at the end of the day,
exactly why I turned off my premium. I don't want, and it's trying to pull me back because it's you have 6 people that want your consulting assistance reactivate premium to see who they are. 16 people viewed your profile. Reactivate to see who they are. I'm like, please leave me alone.
Yeah, they don't want to do it. So yeah, those 16 people, I don't, let's not even get started on LinkedIn Premium. Let's not even get started on it.
Okay, let's move on. This is not a commercial.
I know, exactly. So when you first started creating content in this space, did you have other creators of color to look up to, or were you kind of like out on your own?
Absolutely. Like I said, being part of PIC, I tell people all the time, like I really started with an audience. And I am so grateful for the people that welcomed me in. You know, I came into a group that was already established. These were the original SHRM bloggers, you know, like Janine Dennis, like Sarah Morgan, Tiffany Toussaint, you know, rest in peace, Chris Fields. There, Dave Ryan, like even Steve Brown for a time, I believe was part of PIC. And if you don't know those names, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're just younger. Maybe you're not for the 1900s. That's why you don't know those names. But, you know, these are people that, you know, really uplifted me. So, I was very lucky. Like I had an audience already just based off of their names, and not to sound, you know, like I did it for like, you know, what we say, you know, they're doing it for clout. No, these were my actual friends. And, you know, I was grateful that they let me, quote unquote, ride their coattails.
Hey, have you subscribed? Let's fix that. It's the easiest way to support this show. Yeah, and it's a very valid way of growing as a creator. I mean, I would never be or have the audience that I have if it weren't for those initial people that had made it, that were big and well known, that spoke my name in rooms, that brought me onto their platform, and they continue to do this. And I try to do this for other people. So for anyone who has people that they know and you want to get into the creator space, this is a valid way of doing it, because you do get an audience by that endorsement from someone who's been there before and has the trust of people. Mm-hmm. So a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, I asked Black creators on Threads to share their experiences navigating the creator space. And you told me that you had a ton of stories. What's one that you think people need to hear?
I'm pretty sure I told this one before, and I alluded to it a little bit, but there's multiple instances of this happening to me. I was told not to name my blog, which then became my entire company, my entire brand, Trap Recruiter. Like, I was told that was like the biggest mistake I would ever make. And when I first started, you know, being on my own, and I first started to like really build for myself, I had an identity crisis. So I had Keirsten Gregg's social media. I had Trap Recruiter social media, but it was the same thing, you know, and it got to the point where like I stopped. Like I have personal accounts. I don't even post to them because I believe I used Trap Recruiter so much more. And I was telling Maisha Cannon the other week, I was like, at some point, and this is, you know, a whole different part of the conversation. I was like, I don't know when I stopped being Keirsten and when I started being Trap Recruiter. And like I said, that's a problem for another time. I'll get into that another time. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me is, you know, letting someone else tell me who I am and how to show up, and trying to be something or do things that I'm not. Like, I appreciate you all that are on TikTok. I appreciate you all that spend hours editing videos and making content and doing clips. Keirsten Greggs does not have that skill set, and I am too old to learn. The little bit of clips I do is because I use a program, I use an AI tool that helps me do that. And it is very bare. It is very basic, but I love that you do that. So when people are like, why won't you get on TikTok? I'm like, because I don't get on TikTok, and every TikTok I see is on someone else, is on another platform. So I will watch it there. It doesn't feel organic for me. You know, it doesn't feel authentic to me. So when I stop trying to do everything and do the things that I'm good at, that's when it changed. That's when it started to really click for me.
Yeah, and everyone's always going to have opinions. And I think most of the time they're well-meaning opinions and advice. But at the end of the day, you have to do what feels right and what is sustainable. And I think Trap Recruiter is a name that immediately lets people know what you're about and like what to expect. And I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've had recently, and you can share more about it, someone impersonate your brand. And it was clear that this was not a trap recruiter. I'll let you figure out what that means. But it was very clear just from looking at the profile picture that this was not a trap recruiter. But because your brand is so recognizable, even though this person didn't impersonate you by using your name, but by using Trap Recruiter, that's how you found out, because other people told you, wait a minute, this is Keirsten. This isn't whoever you say you are.
Well, the first one, the one that I asked you guys to report the profile, they had viewed my profile, and I still had premium at the time. I didn't turn it off until the beginning of February. And it had the purple banner like hiring. And I'm like, oh, who's this? And I started reading the headline, it'll get you the little snippet. I was like, that sounds familiar. And I was like, and I clicked on it. I was like, dummy, that's you. Like, that's your headline. That's your stuff. And I was like, and they had the background. Their background picture was my entire logo, like everything. Now, the other people that were getting, I did not know this was happening. I did not know that there was a Gmail account that was created. And thankfully, I've only found one and it was like Greg's Keirsten, because Keirsten Greg's I already use. Well, I use it for testing when I'm doing ATS implementations. So I should have grabbed Greg's Keirsten too, to, add personas, but they were using that, and they were just like pulling stuff from my website. Like took a brand mark. They like took little snippets from my website to say, this is my motto, or this is my whatever. And then they would never, like, they would go to people and say, hey, I have this job for you. When do you want to, I want to talk to you more about it. And people were getting excited. And someone even said that they were like, I was excited. He had four kind of like conversation, like 4 instances, and finally added me to the email. I gave my real email address, and said, add me to the thread so I could take care of this. And he's like, I only answered because I trusted you. And that's when I had to make that post, because that says a lot, because I don't know how much this is happening. I know Tara just made a post the other day mentioning impersonations again, and talking to recruiters about ways that they can mitigate it. And as she was doing that, I said, let me do a search real quick. I found another profile, another Trap Recruiter profile. So yeah,
it's wild out here. What about working with brand partners? Do you work with brand partners at all?
I do. Sparingly at this point. I had a partnership with Fama. I'm pretty sure we're going to do something in 2026, but I've been working with wherever McCole is. I call her my niece. Wherever McCole is, my niece brings me with her wherever she goes. So, I'll do things with them. I do things with Recruit CRM. I've done things with Team Fleck. But what I find very disheartening, and this is nothing against brands. Well, yeah, it kind of is. I got to stop being apologetic for the people that are trying to do me wrong. The ones I won't name, they don't want to pay me. They want me to work for exposure. And like I said, I spend a lot of time on presenting things. I'm a Scorpio perfectionist. If you see a meme and it looks like it took me 6 seconds to do, it probably took me 6 hours, because I was worried about the font, or because I saw, what is this little thing in this picture. Did anybody, and I'm worried, did anybody else do this already? You know, am I going to look like I stole this information? You know, there's all that goes into it. So when someone asks me to labor for free, and I know they pay other people, I get upset, like, and I do, and I try not to, but I like really get upset and I crash out a great deal. Thank God for group chats, because if I said a lot of the things I want to say out in the open, no one would invite me anywhere, which they really don't anymore. And that's a whole other issue.
Yes, to all of that. Because especially the part where they're paying other people. Because it's like, I've had those moments where it's like, wait, is my friend lying to me? Actually, no. I know my friend isn't lying to me. I know it's you, because they're always like, oh, well, we don't usually pay creators. And I'm always so tempted to be like, actually, I know you paid so-and-so person X amount for this. So why are they worthy of being paid and I'm not worthy of being paid, type of thing? That's a lot of what happens in this space, unfortunately.
It is. And there's something else, especially you've been a recruiter as well, or you've been part of talent acquisition as well, but that wasn't your job. Like, you were actually a technical project manager, you know, who got tired of recruiters, perhaps, and I'm putting words in your mouth, but not bringing you the candidates that you wanted. Or giving you the experience, the hiring experience that was necessary to get the right people. And you figured out a way to make things work for both sides. So I think what a lot of people forget, especially in this landscape of what it means to be a content creator, and especially in a field like talent acquisition, where people already don't respect us, already think that our job is easy, already don't understand what it actually takes to get from point A to Z. Anybody can be seen as an expert. Anybody can be seen as an influencer. And I think a lot of people forget, like, when I say I have 26 years of experience, like, I was an enterprise recruiter. Like, I was inside of some organizations that make decisions about how the world is. And they were services companies, so their product was people. And I'm responsible for making sure that the right people are making these decisions and keeping the company going. So I think people forget that yeah, I'm a recruiter, but I make that makes content. I'm not a content creator that talks about recruiting.
Oh my gosh. Can I take a second to get on a soapbox for a second?
Absolutely.
I speak to so many brand partners that tell me, well, you're not a practitioner. And I'm like, today, maybe not today,
Right.
but just 2 years ago, like, yes, like you said, I used to be a technical project manager. The way I fell into recruiting was because I kept complaining. At that point, I was a director of operations, but I kept complaining to my CEO about how the recruiter that we were working with wasn't hitting the mark. And one day he's like, great. Now, okay, I'm done with this. You're now in charge of recruiting. Recruiting is now under you. And I was like, wait, what? So yeah, I had to learn how to recruit, how to build a recruiting team. And again, working in service companies where the product, most of my career has been professional services companies, talent marketplaces. The product were people, and I've lived it. I've used the tools. I've built my own tools because I happen to be a software engineer by trade.
Yes.
That's like what I went to school for. So yes, most of us out here creating content, especially the ones.
Not most. No. Don't even.
Okay. You know what? You're right. A lot of us out here creating content, mostly the ones that have been doing it for a while, have worked, have been in the trenches, and have created content on the side, and then moved to doing it more prominently or doing it full time. We're not just content creators. We're not just influencers. Most of us started creating content because of what we were seeing in our jobs, or because it helped us with our jobs, not the other way around. now, like you're very right, a lot of people that are creating content are simply content creators.
And I
And I'll
love
leave
it.
it at
It's
that.
great. But, the more saturated, the more full it gets, the harder it is to reach us. The harder it is to figure out for a layperson who's not, close to the hiring process to understand what is and what isn't good information. You've got new tech popping up every single day. Every person is telling you that they're the solution. They're the ones that are going to help you beat the ATS. Like if I have to hear that one more time, I might scratch someone's eyes out, not my own. And, I don't want to hear that anymore. I have to explain what an ATS does, or we have people try to sell us solutions that are going to help us do that. And I'm like, that's not even the problem that I have. How about you ask me what problems I need to solve before you come and try and sell me your solution? That solution is not going to help me. Like that solution doesn't do anything but add an additional layer to the work I already have to do. I'm still going to have to use this stupid Excel spreadsheet. I'm still going to.
Let's not even get started on that. But what's going on in my head in most of the demos that I get because I have this firm rule, I will not talk about a tool or do a brand partnership without testing out the tool first. So It usually goes like, let's get a demo. Most of the demos, what I'm thinking is, this isn't a problem anyone has. Like, who told you they needed this problem solved? Like, people are still going to have a spreadsheet. People are still going to have 20 other papers or things like that to solve the actual problems that we need solving. And you just vibe coded something solving no one's problem. Maybe ChatGPT said that was someone's problem.
Hey, y'all been beating on my buddy chat for a while. Everybody's like, it's like Claude supremacy right now. Like,
oh no, I actually canceled my Claude because it wasn't doing it for me. I have ChatGPT, so I
have both. I have both. I use both, and I cross their information because I'm like, this don't make sense. I think some people don't read that. That's why they have the issues, or they don't know, or they want to show up as an expert about something they don't actually have fundamental knowledge of, and that's why we have all of this garbage in, garbage out in our atmosphere right now. So,
yeah, and I think and something that I love about the people that listen to the show and the people that come on this show is it's actual experts wanting to learn from content creators, because pure content creators have a ton that we can learn from as far as content creation. But you do have to be an expert, I think, responsibly, be an expert at what you're talking about. I want to talk about, so you've been featured in BBC, Forbes, Fast Company, like major outlets. Does mainstream recognition change how you're treated in the HRTA space, or do you still walk into rooms where people underestimate you?
That was a lot of questions in one. So this is not advice from me. This is not me telling you to do this way because it worked for me. It's not going to work for you, because I know people that have created entire playbooks and all of that around this. So yeah, here's the thing. I never reached out to BBC. BBC found me. And not because I think I'm hot stuff. It's because I don't know how to do business development. Like, I don't do it. I don't know how. Okay. That's not what I'm good at. So BBC reached out to me, and they appreciated the first time I was on the radio, and then they kept talking to me. And then other people, when they search recruiter, Trap Recruiter is going to come up. So I did. So I unintentionally, I got to the top of the algorithm for a while. And that's how they found me. And I think a lot of times people are kind of lazy and they just go with whatever. They'll go to my LinkedIn. They see I have 15,000 follows and that I work for some of these companies. So, okay, she's not just buying, like these aren't robots that she bought, and these are actual people. Some, probably most of them, but I'm sure there's some bots in there. Anyway, so I think people don't care about that, or they want to know why I'm there. So when you talk about underestimating, like why her, like why they pick her. I've had situations I don't see much difference between corporate America and being a consultant or being a solopreneur. I'm still dealing with people. I'm still dealing with the same type of issues and problems. I can walk into a room and people will look for the white person. People will look for the man, and go to them as the expert, go to them as the person. I had the first time that nailed home for me was when I was leaving the recruiting department to go into the cybersecurity business as the staffing liaison. And to wrap up, I was training the recruiters on the new applicant tracking system because that was something I was already in the process of doing. I had been part of the implementation from the beginning, so they would lend me back to do the training. And I remember there were new recruiters in the room who didn't know me, and I had my successor who I was training there so that he could he could get a handle on training. And I promise you, there was a situation where I had to leave the training and go up to the vice president and say, I'm not going back down there because I was disrespected so bad. And they didn't do that to the white guy who I was training. They did that to me. And that still happens. If you're in our group projects, we're on these webinars and we're collectively coming together and we're putting together panels and all of this stuff. They want me to take the notes, or it's not until someone says the thing I just said that it's validated. And it's annoying, but it becomes a thing where it's like, do you keep showing up? Do you keep putting up with this? Or do you just not even say yes anymore? And that's kind of where I am right now. So no, I don't think that people think I am hot stuff. No matter what I do. Like, I have a master's degree in HR management, and every vice president, every director that I've worked under, some had high school diplomas. And that's no disrespect, because recruiting, you could be a fantastic recruiting leader without getting advanced degrees. I wish I hadn't, but I thought that was the only way that I was going to prove I was as good as and better than other people. It didn't matter that I hired more people than everybody else. It didn't matter that they let me do special projects because I was filling my jobs. Like, I have a good friend I'm still friends with today. Please say, stop. He was like, you're going to recruit yourself out of a job. And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, you don't have any recs. They're going to make you do something else. And I'm like, okay, I'll do something else then. Like, let's get it done. But yeah, I don't know how we overcome that. And talking about it in these type of things, yeah, me and you will talk about it. We'll do it. But then next thing you know, someone else, even if they're a POC, or if they have another marginalized part of their identity, will come in and take over that. My stupid self did a Black History Month, or no, it was Juneteenth. I did a Juneteenth webinar one time that they commingled with something else. And I was like, why did you do that? Like, why? Why did you do that? So I don't try and get into those type of arrangements anymore, but it is still very difficult to recognize who is and who is not appreciative and really respects what I bring to the table. I still get those, oh, wow. Because again, people see Trap Recruiter and they think I'm just this fun, I'm just fun and I just, ha, 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 I'm going to rap or something. I don't know. I don't rap. they think I'm going to rap or I'm going to entertain them. And I am entertaining, but I come with a book of knowledge that cannot be denied. And I think people are still surprised when this is able to do the things that I'm able to do. I got an email today that said, thanks for posting the job stuff. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow on my podcast. Well, invite me. Like, why are you taking my stuff?
Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Look, listeners on audio, if you really want to see what's happening in this episode, I think you have to go look at the video version on YouTube or Spotify, because I am not controlling my face with these stories. It's like, I actually wanted to talk about it because you don't just share opinions and advice. Like, you break down jobs reports, the WARN notices, DEI rollbacks, and you translate that into what those numbers actually mean for employees of color. What made you decide to become that source?
I don't think I became that source. I've always done that. My last positions were in operations. So I was the person that took data and explained what it means to you. And I love doing that. I love the stories that we can tell from data. I love that I can read something and you can read something, and we could come up with two entirely different ways of presenting that information, and both of them are awesome. So that's why I do that. And also, I don't like that we hide the stories. Like, a lot of people don't read past the headline. So they see something, but my question is always, oh, but what does that mean for me? Like, what does that mean for me? And I think the worst thing that anyone ever did was give me the skill set that they did of giving me access to the data warehouse and being able to see every employee. And they're like, hey, and I never thought this should have been part of my job in TA, but for whatever reason it was, I had to do the RIF report, so the reduction in force report. And I took it seriously because I'm like, why are only Black people getting laid off in this section? Why are we doing this? And it's nice for me to say that, that makes for a great soundbite. Only the Black people are getting laid off. But sometimes it's deeper than that. Sometimes it's the Black people occupy these positions disproportionately. And these are the positions that are easily replaceable or that we don't need. And that's why the Black people are getting laid off more than anybody else. So those are parts of the story that, again, a lot of people are not going to see. They're going to see these numbers, and that's it. I tell people all the time, 80 and 20, when you have 100, and 80 and 20 are the same thing. Just depends on what story you want to tell.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important. And I always appreciate your post because you're coming at it from, this is the data, this is the story that the data is telling. I think it's wild that someone would say, thank you for posting it. Because, by the way, listeners, today the jobs report was released at like 8:30 this morning.
8:30. I was waiting.
And yes. And like an hour later, we already had the Keirsten breakdown in carousel format.
Yes.
On
you
LinkedIn.
Give me too much credit. It took me about 2.5 hours. It did take me about 2.5 hours.
Okay. Still 2.5 hours. And it was already analyzed and posted on LinkedIn in a beautiful format that was easy to consume and understand. So I think if people like me who appreciate that and want to talk about it on their shows should give you credit and invite you, because I'm sure that, and you're a great storyteller, you're a great data storyteller, but if you want to talk about it in depth, if you're a true journalist of sorts, and I think podcasters are, you should invite the source to talk about these things and to explain it, because I'm sure there's a lot of the story that wasn't captured in your carousel.
Oh, no, there is. And I can't go through all of those charts. Like I said, I'm from the 1900s. Shout out Maisha for giving me that praise. And those tables to me seem like they're getting smaller and smaller, even when I have my spectacles on. And I'm not trying to click on all these extra ones, and I've seen so many people say, I don't trust these numbers. And I'm like, yeah, but it's from BLS. And I'm like, the more I read and like, I'm looking at why are we reporting on this now? Like, wait a minute, what report did we pull these? What survey did we use for this? I'm like, yeah, I probably won't trust these numbers either. And we'll see next month. We know those numbers are going to be down. You know, it was what, 130,000 jobs created by March, whenever they put it out. If they put it out, we'll probably be somewhere. I'm going to say 88,000 is my guess.
We shall see. So in addition to the great content that you put out in written form and visual, the memes, you decided to launch Trap Chat a few years back, which is a live show. Take me back to the moment that you said, I'm doing this.
Again, I got to give credit where it's due. It was never Trap Chat. It was first Ring of Hire. And it was specifically for TA people, and Rich Rosner Rich Rosner is like a live stream animal. Like he is always live. I don't know how he has the energy for that, but he brought me and was like, he did something for TA Day, and he did a show for like 12 or 24 hours, something ridiculous. And he said, I really liked your energy. Would you want to come and do a live show with me? And I was like, sure. So it was 2020. Like,
yeah, we had time.
I had plenty of time and lots of coffee. So we would get on, and then Ring of Hire didn't work anymore. We needed because the person didn't want to do it, and it was their platform. So Rich was like, let's do Trap Chat with the Shark, because he calls himself the staffing shark. Yeah. So we did it. But again, when you're working with someone, and I love Rich, he's been amazing to me, and I to him, like I consider him a friend. But when we have different audiences, number one, he's coming from the staffing side. So for anyone, that's third party recruiters, and I am coming from the in-house side. So those are two different perspectives in and of themselves, and two different audiences, two different needs. What we're going to talk about, what's exciting. And I really just wanted to talk about more than hiring, especially during a time when people were not working, especially during a time when there was more to the story, especially during a time when Black people were, disproportionate in everything. And I remember Kate Bischoff was my first guest, and it was the legal standpoint. It was 2021, and it was the legal standpoint of COVID mandates. That was a big deal, So we did that. And again, you always start closest in. I tell people this when they network. You start with what's closest to you, and then you move out. So for the first year, it was live. That was challenging. That started to become challenging as people started to get back into the swing of things and not be home or not be in one place all day long, and they could just log in. I was only talking to HR people and TA people. Then I started opening up a little bit more, and I was like, let me get some folks that are it was people that were adjacent. So when it came time for like vaccine mandates, I wanted someone to, or I wanted someone to explain it. So I was looking at public health professionals and doctors. And I was like, everybody has a career story.
Yep.
And then it became, okay, I'm tired and I have to work. I have to do work, that pays me. Because if you remember, you were on early too. You were on like 22, maybe 22 or 23.
I think I've been on twice, and I think the first time was.
It's time for a third time. Listen, I got people that have been on 8 times. Like, they'll be fine. Like,
yeah, but I remember it was the earlier times.
Yeah, and now I do series. Now I do. Hey, Black History Month, we're going to talk about this. Women's History Month, we're going to talk about this. I do something that's in the spring and summer that's like, last year it was like resetting. I've done stuff for just Black Music Month in June. I've also done stuff for LGBT for Pride Month as well, where I will do both, especially because they're both in June. But sometimes it's like, why do I only want to talk to this person during this month? Like, why can't they be, what, like they have, like their story matters more than that part of them. So that's why I started doing the series, like I said, of like anything you could talk to. I've had folks that like, I had a person, I got discouraged last year, and I think I've shared this story with like actually I shared the story with someone, and then they shared it with the larger audience, after one of their appearances, because because like someone very famous shared that, like commented on it and was like, oh, I love that, and it was like, what? Like someone saw this, but I asked someone to be on my Black History Month show last year, and I was trying to reach different parts of our culture, different parts of the community. So I had like a pastor on, I had someone that was in the NFL. I had the librarian that was on Queer Eye, Billy Allen. Like it was just, I'm touching every part. And I asked someone to come and talk about education, and they replied that my audience wasn't big enough for them. Mm. And that hurt me. Like I was so defeated, and I had to realize, oh no, it's not. So then fast forward, I have someone reach out to me who was a hostage in, who was one of the Sick Go Six, who like reached out to me. It's like, I would love to come on your podcast. And I was like, you want to come on my podcast? Keirsten Gregg's podcast? Are you sure? So there comes that. So now I talk to everyone, like I said, about their story and about their journey, and it doesn't matter. Like my aunt's been on, she's retired. My little cousin, when he was going from intern to his first job, he was on. So talk about any facets of life and how they intersect with your career is what I want to do. But it took me a long time to get there. It took me years, and I'm not exaggerating, because what Trap Chat was in 2020, 2021, 2022, even 2023 is like, I feel like 24, 25, and now whatever I'm going to do in 26 is like really hitting my stride, like really being confident in what I'm doing, and never going to stop amplifying voices. I always said I was going to amplify voices that other people may not know, but they need to know. That have something amazing and awesome to say. So I'm never going to stop doing that. I told my friends, I invited someone who is very unreachable. And they haven't answered my email. Of course they haven't. But hey, doesn't hurt, right? What if they said yes?
No, exactly. And I think that's really the beauty of being a creator. You can see the evolution when you look back, but you would never get that evolution if you didn't actually do it. Yeah. And it hurts. I had someone this week. Look, I was actually talking to my husband about this, because I would much rather prefer, even though it hurts, for someone to tell me, I don't want to come on your show because your audience isn't big enough for me. What they told me was, I'm not doing podcasts this year.
Oh,
and okay. Right after that, that I was feeling like, oh, okay. And then right after that, I see them post a podcast that they just did.
Wow.
And my husband's like, well, no, maybe they filmed it last year, maybe this, maybe that. And then today there's another podcast posted and another. I was like, come on, at least be honest and say why you don't want to come.
Maybe they don't know. Maybe you're intimidated by you. Like, you got to be honest. There are people that do get invited to things and they don't say anything new. Like, I had this experience. Like, I was embarrassed on one of my shows. And this is someone who had been featured in media. Okay. And I'm not going to say that person's name because I have not had them back on. They will not come back on. I was embarrassed by the way that this person felt like they needed to show up on my show because it was trap. It was just, I was like, what is happening? Like, oh my gosh. And yeah, some people don't work. Like, I've done that. The people that are most popular, they are usually the ones that I have the worst shows with. And I'm not even going to be funny. The popular people that I'm friends with that are watching this, I'm not talking about you. So calm down.
Yeah.
If you've been on more than once, you know that that's not the case. So yeah, I feel like the folks who have the shows that I've been most proud of, outside of ones that really stretched me, are the ones where a person has never been on a podcast before, and they trust me to they trust me to tell their story. They trust me that I'm not going to like do any gotcha things, or I'm not going to make them, nervous or make them feel bad. And they feel like, they're like they're just having a conversation. So those are the ones I'm most proud of. When someone's like, oh my gosh, like this is my first time and I really enjoyed myself. Like that was awesome. That was great. I want more of those.
Yeah. And that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning about like, you have to start somewhere, and a good place to start is going on someone else's platform, someone who has already built a platform. And I think as creators, we should never forget that at one point we were the person that had never been on a podcast, who had never been something, and someone took the chance and invited us and opened that door. And we should continue to do that. And like, as we get bigger, not forget where we came from and help other people get there.
Absolutely.
And I also think it's a great segue to what I was going to ask, which is, what's something about building a platform as a Black woman that you wish you'd known when you started?
Oh, wow. I had a lot of trial and error, and I think the biggest thing I can say is not to try and be someone else. And what I mean by that is that you don't start at what's a popular podcast that's like secular? What's that one? Okay, Joe Budden podcast. Like, you're not the Breakfast Club, so you don't have to set up your podcast. Like, I'm in my office. Like, there was a time where I wouldn't show my daybed because I didn't want people to think I was in my boudoir. Like, there's little stuff like that I'm not so hung up on anymore. You're not Breakfast Club. You're not whoever has a very popular secular podcast or whatever. You're yourself, and be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. And I think I spent a lot of time doing that. Like trying to make things fancy and pretty and what am I going to say? Which clip am I going to? I wasn't even doing clips until y'all started doing them. I was like, am I supposed to do that? I did. I was just putting out episodes, and I'm like, I'm supposed to like tell people to watch it again. Like, they didn't watch it already. Like, it's still there. What do you want me to do? I didn't know I was supposed to do that, but that's something I needed to do. If you want to do podcasting, you have to do it because you want to. When I first started, I used to have one that was just audio. I only filmed 3 episodes. I only recorded 3 episodes. And I had someone who was editing it. Like, it was such a labor. Like, and that's not something that I needed. That's why the live shows work for me, because I could be as goofy and make as many mistakes as I needed to. And it didn't matter. Even when I record now, I still treat it like a live show. Like, we're not here for perfection. We are here to tell our stories. So don't try and be something that you're not, and don't what's the right word? Don't overproduce it. Cause unless you got CNN's ABC money, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I wish I had also, I found out that there are colleges and even the public library, like you can go to your public library and they have rooms where you can tape your podcast and things like that. I wish I had known stuff like that before I, jumped into this and transitioned from a live show to what I do today.
That's great advice. And it's also advice that I give. And people always look at me because it's like, you own a video production company. Yes. And when people come to me, like, I don't work with new podcasters. Well, I shouldn't say I don't work with, but very few times I do. Because when you're starting, what you really have to focus on is the content. you need to like hone in on what you're going to be saying, what you're going to be talking about
Mm-hmm.
before you start thinking about the bells and whistles. Is production important? Yes, in my opinion, it is. Is it
Yeah.
important? Is it the most important thing at the beginning? No, it's not. As long as you're putting out something that you can be proud of, that you can stand by, that represents your name and your brand, then focus on the content more. I'm not saying just half-ass things. I'm saying present something that you're proud of, but focus more on the content than on the production at the beginning.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to that, because I am not a technical person like you, like I am not a software engineer, use a platform that you can use, one that works for you. I use what I use because I learned how to use that one. If I filmed on Zoom, which is perfectly fine, I know a lot of people that film on Zoom and then they use a production software to do other things. But if you don't have that skill set where you can do that, then just do it on Zoom. Like, just if that's where you're comfortable, just do it there. Like, don't try and create something. Like I said, don't try to create this production that you don't have the budget or the bandwidth to support. It's going to show up. I mean, we've seen things where, you know, these influencers that are really popular, and I'm not talking about career or professional related, like they're just out and they're sitting in their cars, and we sit there and we watch those videos all day long, and they're sitting in their car on their phone. Like, that's okay. If that's you, do that. You don't have to buy everything on Amazon before you start. That's the most important thing. Start.
And if I'm going to be really, really direct with people, all of that, oh, Rhona, what camera do I need? What lights do I need? All of that is just a stalling mechanism. You're just procrastinating.
Oh.
Go ahead and start doing something. All of the people, and I tell this to everyone who's reaching out and asking, and what lights do you use? The lights that I use now were not there at the beginning. And also I happen to have a husband who can set up a studio for me. That's just, I was just lucky that way. But if I didn't have that, I would have started I would have started like everyone else does. And so it's like, just focus on the content. I think that's the best advice.
Yes.
So if you've ever watched the show, you know there's always a rapid fire segment. And today,
all right, let's hit it.
I'm keeping it light. We're just filling in the blanks. First word that comes to mind.
You be careful. All right, don't curse, Keirsten.
We can.
Nope.
All right. The biggest lie in recruiting is?
That is easy. That anybody can do it.
The thing that will make me unfollow you immediately is?
Wow. Immediately? They're rude. That's hard. Yeah.
The type of content you'll never create.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, I mean,
you said it first.
No. I like that. It's funny because sometimes when I'm writing these out, I'm thinking, oh, they might say this, they might say this. I never thought of that. So I love that one. Your petty superpower.
Petty? I'm a Scorpio, and we're just going to leave it at that. I have a uncanny ability to remember something that you did to me 2,500 years ago. And if you have not felt any type of repercussion from that, your time is coming. Like, I'm just not ready yet. So my superpower is being petty. Like, that is it.
I love that one. All right. Last one. The hill you will die on.
Ooh. So in time for The Devil Wears Prada coming out soon, one of my favorite movies, we all have to have a watch party. Even if you don't want to come, you're going to be invited. Andy was the villain in Devil Wears Prada.
All right. We'll see what everyone thinks about that. I've really enjoyed our conversation, like every conversation I've ever had with you. How can listeners connect with you?
I'm everywhere at Trap Recruiter, not at Gmail, at Trap Recruiter.
Love that. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
If you're enjoying the Workfluencer pod, share it with someone who's changing how we talk about work, or who should be. And hey, if this episode gave you ideas or inspiration, leave us a 5-star review. Reviews help other listeners find us. And honestly, it makes my day. This show is produced by Workfluencer Media. Visit workfluencermedia.com to learn how we help companies build video-first content systems that attract, engage, and retain qualified talent. That's workfluencermedia.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll chat with you next week.